I forget I have to hit the button to stop it. Welcome back. Episode 45, I think, of the Financial Illiterates. I'm excited. It's been a few weeks since we've had one of these for many, many different reasons.
Yep. Crazy weeks.
But we have Antoine Martel with us this week, which is super exciting. So let me pull him in here. Hey, Antoine.
Hey.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm super excited to have you on. I actually came across your Instagram. Well, didn't come across. Justin actually is the one that gave me your Instagram way back when we were starting to look into real estate. So I've been following your Instagram for a while, and then
it has to be about 18 months now, I want to say.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
like cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So great stuff. It's been really helpful in our journey through real estate as we start to sort of get ramped up there. Where did you first introduced to real estate, and how did you get started in there?
Yeah, so I first started becoming interested in real estate. My brother took me and my dad to a seminar when I was in college, and it was about flipping houses in California. And can we swear on this podcast or on the show? Okay, good.
As much as you want. We also drink whiskey.
Oh, I got my LaCroix here. But so my brother took me and my dad to this real estate seminar, and they were like, oh, this is how you flip houses in LA. And I'm like, oh, bullshit. Nobody can flip houses in LA. Like, it's too expensive. Like, show them. All right. So I went. And we learned the numbers, like what it's supposed to look like behind the scenes, behind a deal. And I was like, oh, okay. This is starting to make a little bit more sense. And I can see how it's possible now, because people are running on really, really tight margins on flips in LA, like single digit, like spreads. It's crazy, like 5 or 6%. So, and they showed those numbers at this presentation, this 3-day seminar. And I was like, okay, maybe I can figure this out. And so I was in college still. I was graduating in like a year and a half. And I was like, all right, let me try to figure this out. Like 6 months in, I had made like 20 offers every month, like got no deals under contract. Everything was like going way over what like would make sense for me, like $200,000 over what my offer was, and over like the list price and stuff like that. So it was ridiculous. And I was like, you walk into these showings and like these guys literally just have the checkbooks there ready to go. And I'm like, well, fuck, I need to go raise the money. I have like $0. I'm a college student. And so after 6 months of that, then, started going back to my family and telling them what I was learning and stuff like that, especially my dad and my brother. And then I was like, well, guys, we've done 20 offers a month for the last 6 months. It's not working. And so then we started networking with people around us in California. And learned that a lot of people in California were investing out of state. And I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense. And started networking with those people and kind of learned how they were building these teams out of state, how they were investing out of state, and then the kind of projects they were doing. And so through that, did a bunch of research on a bunch of different markets, found out there's a couple markets that would make sense with our budget. And my dad had $40,000 that he wanted to invest in real estate, and he was open to, and that was the kind of the money we were going to use on that first LA flip. And I was like, well, where can you buy a house for 40 grand? That knocks off like 80% or 90% of the country right there. So I had very little cities to work with. And so, a couple months before graduating, found a house in Memphis. I was just like cold calling brokers, cold calling listing agents, cold calling property management companies, found a house in Memphis for 35 grand. Renovation budget was like $5,000. We ended up buying that house before I graduated, renovated it, rented it out, and then did a cash out refinance with a local credit union. And then everything just kind of took off from there. I graduated college a couple of weeks after that. And then I was like, oh my God, I think I have something here. Like I have a team on the ground. Like we successfully completed a $5,000 renovation, which is nothing. I mean, it's like replacing the carpet and painting the interior.
Yep.
But and then everything just kind of scaled off. But that's the story of how it all started in the first deal.
What did you see in Memphis in particular? Was that like a strategic choice, or was it just kind of where you could put that $40K to work?
So it was the affordability factor with how much money we had, right? But I'm kind of happy it went that way, because what you'll learn is the single family home space, all the properties that cash flow are normally less than $150,000. If you get over $150,000, you start to like get way less cash flow and the returns start to not be that great. So if you can find properties that are sub 150K, that's where the cash flow is. So, starting with a $50,000 cash budget, it kind of put us in those cash flowing markets. And so I'm kind of grateful that we started off with just that amount of money, because it forced us to look at these markets. But I mean, now like when we're expanding, because Memphis was our first market, then we went to Cleveland and St. Louis, and now we're looking at Detroit, and we've looked at Indianapolis before and all these kinds of places. And I mean, you want like a good rent to value ratio. So if you have $100,000 house, you want the rents to be, $1,000 a month or greater, which is the 1% rule. And so there's like that. You look at like population growth, job growth, who the major employers are, the diversity of the workforce, and all those kinds of things like lead into the data research that you do for like moving into a new market.
What's it been like sort of scaling your team to multiple markets?
Yeah, so that's the part that I handle for the business a lot, because it is the most like relationship based, and like, I don't know, man, there's like it's almost like a feeling you have when you're like talking with somebody and you can kind of catch them on their bullshit. Whereas like, we have an acquisitions team, a sales team, but like building a team from scratch in a new market that you identify as like a good place to invest in, that is a hard thing to do. How do I do it? Starts with property management companies, calling them, building a relationship with them, kind of building the rapport is what they like to call it.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, you kind of, you try to like get into that first house and make sure that first house is a house where you have multiple exit strategies, just in case they shit the bed, that you have other ways to get rid of the thing. And then throughout that kind of process, you're always like, I don't know, you have your radar on when you're dealing with these first, because for example, all right, Detroit, Michigan, we have 2 houses under contract, never bought a house in Detroit so far, never met these people. And so I'm buying 2 houses sight on scene, trusting every word that they say, but I am hiring an inspector. But luckily, I know how to read an inspection report. My acquisition team does. So when they tell us, hey, 25K rehab, and I look at the inspection report and it looks to me like it's a $70,000 job, then I'm like, hey, hey, this is not going to work out. We really just don't like the, like I can make up something and get out of there. But it's because we've seen, we've done 250 projects now, like single family home flips around the country. So our acquisition team knows what to look at. Even just looking at like photos on Zillow and Redfin, my team's pretty good at like, hey, this will be a 20K job,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So are you doing primarily single family, and are they long-term rentals, flips?
Yeah. So the story continues where I graduated college, and then I kept doing that same process over, called the Burr strategy. And so I got from like 1 house to 8 houses. By the end of the year. This was in 2017 when I graduated. And then we kind of, we had ran out of money at that point. And we're like, fuck, what do we do now? Like we have all these houses, or not all these houses, we have 8 houses. We have no money in the bank. Like, how do we keep scaling this thing? And at that same point in time, people started reaching out to us as a family, like, hey, how do we invest in real estate? We want to invest in Memphis because we're in California. So, hey, we want to invest in Memphis. How do you guys have these rentals? How the hell, what's Antoine doing after college? Oh, he's growing a rental property portfolio for the family in Memphis, Tennessee. Like, people are like, what are you talking about? And so people started reaching out to us, and we're like, well, we can sell you properties that we have in our portfolio if you want. Like, they're rented out, we have insurance, we have a lender, we have a property manager, and people started like buying these houses from us, and we would take that profit and then use that profit to go do another one. And so that started really like January 2018. And now here we are a couple years later, and we're doing like 10 to 15 houses a month in 4 to 5 different markets. So that's kind of the story that we're in, that we've kind of scaled up to that point. So now what is our process? So we'll buy a house, renovate it, rent it out, put the property management company in place, and then sell that house to our client, help our client get financing, insurance, property management. So it's like a flip in our accounting.
Yeah, interesting.
But there is like another exit strategy for us where so right now there's a lot of demand, and we're always asking ourselves like, oh, what happens when there isn't? and like people don't want to buy turnkey rentals or real estate for whatever reason. I don't know why, but let's say they do, or the prices go down a lot, then we can always refinance those houses and keep them as rentals. So right now they are flip. But I think at some point we're going to get caught, but we're still going to be fine because we can just refinance the houses out. They're owned with our own cash or our investors' money. So that's kind of the process for our deal flow right now.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. So Justin and I, like I said, we just started getting into real estate investing. So we have 2 single families near the Tampa area in Florida. That's where I grew up. So remote investing is easier if you know the area really well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious sort of your financial goals as well, because a lot of ours is not cash flow focused. So we're sort of the minority in the real estate investing space, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. So what is your goal then with those 2 houses?
Primarily appreciation. So the market that we're investing in over the last 10, 15 years has had a 3.3% appreciation. Of course, like everywhere in the world this year has just seen insane appreciation.
Yeah.
So we closed on the houses at the end of last year. So it's been great so far. Where was I going? I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. I go what you're saying. I mean, so we were talking about this heavily a couple of weeks ago. I mean, so you have heavy inflation coming. I mean, so the country printed all this money. Due to that, you're going to have all this inflation coming, right? So they're trying to keep it below 2%. I don't know how that's possible unless they continue printing and like figure out a way to like give it to the right people. Who knows what they're going to do? But let's say or assume that inflation is going to go to like 4, 5, 6% or even higher. And right now you can lock in long-term debt at 4.25%. So if you think inflation is going to go to 5%, I mean, you're getting free, you're making money from getting debt right now. So like us, like as a company, we were talking about that too, because I mean, we have money in the bank, we're buying these houses for this business, but should we pivot? We're always talking about this kind of stuff. Like, should we pivot and should we figure out another strategy? Is there something we're missing? And yeah, I mean, all of our clients that have bought those 250 houses from us, I mean, I just want to write them a personal email like, you did it, like you got long-term debt. I mean, a year and a half ago, these people were locking up debt at 3.25% and 30-year term. So, with all that being said, I mean, there is definitely a strategy more for like appreciation or just like the buy and hold investor. And I wouldn't say that I'm a very like heavy appreciation guy. I prefer like, buying for cash flow because you can count on the money every single month kind of thing. But if you can get into anything that cash flows right now and lock in long-term debt with Fannie Mae, like, everybody in the country should be maxing out their Fannie Mae lines, in my opinion, and just buying as many single family homes, even if it's making like $100 a month, just buy it and hold on. And yes.
So that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's the strategy now.
That's the strategy that we were talking about personally doing for all of us in the family, the employees, and like how can we get people to get into the, I mean, it's like the opportunities right now, and we don't know how long this is going to last. So because the interest rates are climbing pretty quickly. So like, the quicker you can get into deals right now, lock in long-term debt. I even had phone calls with there's this company CoreVest, and they have like a 10-year term product at like 4 or 5% interest. And there's some other large portfolio lenders that'll do stuff for 30 years and lock you in for like your whole portfolio. Because we have like 60 houses right now that are under construction or we're selling. So I was like, shit, should we just refinance all of them and hold them all long term, like restart? So I don't know. There's a lot of creative things going on, and there's a lot of changes that are happening. But I mean, the best option right now, I think, is just like maxing out Fannie Mae lines, getting as many cash flowing single family homes as possible. I don't even care if you're getting them for a good deal, just like as long as they're cash flowing. Just
honestly,
because,
like right now, it's hard to even define what a good deal is.
Yeah, and maybe a good deal right now is anything that cash flows over $100.
Almost anything you can acquire at this point. It seems like a good deal.
It is getting
the inventory is so low right now.
Yeah, which is forcing up the values, and then you also have the appreciation, the interest rate working against it. So you have this record low inventory, which is like the supply and demand is making the houses, worth a lot more because there's demand and no supply. But then you have the interest rates, which are forcing down the prices because the interest rates, as they continue to go up, less and less people will buy them. So there's a lot of like weird shit going on, and we're here like there's those three things that we're kind of like monitoring: the inflation rate, interest rate, and the supply. And I think this week was the first uptick in supply since COVID started. So
wow.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens next week if it goes back down. But
what are your sort of personal financial goals?
Oh yeah,
where do you want to take yourself?
So I mean, I'm focused heavily on the business, like the turnkey business right now, obviously. So we're doing like 10 to 15 houses a month, and I would like to take that up to like doing 30 to 40 houses a month, which I think we can do with the current team we have. Probably just need to hire 1 to 2 more people, and we'll be good. We're at 8 employees now, so probably like 10 people and doing 30, 40 houses a month, I think is like a good short-term goal, like 12 to 16 months out. So that's what I'm focused on really heavily right now. I mean, like personal portfolio kind of stuff. I mean, exactly what I just told you guys, like looking for deals, even if I can buy my own turnkey product and just get like 30-year debt on it. Cause I think I had like 4 or 5 single family homes, and the market was so hot, I started selling them. So I don't know. I might wait a little bit until the market cools off because, people are just outbidding each other like crazy and paying for cash and all this crazy stuff. So,
yeah. What about outside of real estate? Do you do any investing outside of putting it all back into your business?
So we've taken personally taken some money, and like the business also has taken some money and started other businesses that are similar, like in the same realm. So like wholesaling. So we started like a wholesaling company, hired a couple people, my friends from college. We hired those 2 guys late last year. And this month they're doing their like biggest month ever for wholesaling. They're going to do like 40 wholesale deals or 30 wholesale deals, which is ludicrous.
I'm unfamiliar with wholesaling, like kind of what goes into that. Yeah.
So, all right. So I told you my process for Martel Turnkey, right? So buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, sell it. Okay. So before that so we buy like probably 50% of those deals from wholesalers. And so the wholesaler's job is to call the homeowner, negotiate a price with the homeowner. Hey, do you want to sell your house, Susan? Yeah, I'd love to sell my house. Okay, great. Can we take some photos? We'll buy it for $100,000. That sounds great, Antoine. Okay, then Antoine's going to take that $100,000 contract and then go to Martel Turnkey and be like, hey, Martel Turnkey, I have this house under contract. I'll assign the contract to you for $110,000. So Antoine will make $10,000. And so these guys pretty much are like the deal finders, the go-getters, the guys who put these properties in a package and say, hey, Martel Turnkey, buy this, renovate it for this, and you can sell it for this. And so that's probably where like 50% of our inventory is coming from right now. And so we were paying all these wholesalers these ridiculous fees. And I was like, man, I wonder if we could just bring this in-house or like at least get a piece of the pie or something. It's not that hard to do it. And these guys are not professional either. I mean, like a lot of these guys are doing stuff that's, already shady. And so I was like, what if we do it in the right way? Like, follow all the rules and laws for like texting and cold calling. And this month again will be their biggest month that they've ever had. And so that's like one of the businesses that we started. Now we're looking into other things like starting like a home warranty company because we've been paying ridiculous sums of money to this home warranty company that we use, like, $800 to $1,000 per house. And so I'm like, well, I wonder if we can start our own home warranty company and do that kind of thing. So we're exploring that as well. So those are the kinds of things that like we've kind of been tapping into just because we know the space really well. And then we can, we already have, we could start a business and be making 10 grand a month. Imagine we're buying 10 houses a month. You pay $1,000 on each for home warranty. You could start a company tomorrow with your own label on it and, be making $10,000 a month and have the system do all the work for you anyways. So that's kind of the businesses that we've been investing in.
And the wholesaling piece, Thank you for explaining that. I that was totally foreign to me, but that sounds very strategic to your business because it, as you said,
yeah.
it's that deal flow that you get. You kind of get ahead of it hitting, like Redfin or Zillow or those kinds of things.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got, I think this week we got like 2 or 3 deals, and yeah, we're the only people that see it. And I literally went from cold calling the person at 8 a.m. in the morning, getting it under contract at noon, and sending it to us at 3, 4 p.m. And then we make an offer at 5 o'clock. I mean, like all in one day. And then we schedule a walkthrough next week, and boom, like nobody else saw the deal or touched it. Yeah. So we're like creating your own inventory.
Right.
So it's the closest thing. That's the one thing I hate about this business, is that I can't just like go to the factory and buy another machine. I have to like, it's like the market's the market kind of thing. Right. Like today you could get 20 deals or no deals, and you can't do shit about it. And I'm like, well, maybe we can. And so this is our closest thing to having a factory.
Interesting.
Yep.
Let's see. What other questions do I have? So it sounds like most of your investing is just back into other businesses related to the original business, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So nothing really in the stock market or
stock market, $10,000, crypto, $10,000.
Okay.
Nothing much. Just dabbling. I mean, I bought Dogecoin like in January, so I made some money there. But
well, congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nothing serious.
About buying 1,000 in Dogecoin. If I would have done that the first time I said that on this podcast,
I know, right? Or like there was like Clubhouse started, and then there was all these like Dogecoin like Clubhouse rooms, and I went into a couple, and they're like, "Yeah, go buy it as much as you can." This was January or something too, when Clubhouse was hot, and it was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Or no, I bought a little bit of money of it, and then they're like, yeah, it's gonna go to the moon, and then here we are.
I've just been too lazy to actually like get around to figuring out how to buy the damn thing. Really. This is too difficult. Cool. So a couple of questions around like so if I wanted to get started in real estate and I only had like $10,000, where would you point people towards?
Yeah, that's hard. So normally for the turnkey company, like our business, the minimum we require is $20,000.
Okay.
So $10,000 is a hard point to be at. I would either say like invest the money in yourself, keep saving to $20,000, or if you do have like a shitload of time on your hands, like unemployed, or like you work at 7-Eleven at night and you have the whole day free, like start wholesaling. And you could probably spend like $1,000 in marketing and cold calling and texting a month, and like get a couple deals, and then you can quit your job at 7-Eleven. So I mean, those are the only 3 options that I can think about, because man, it's really hard. There's other ways, like flip houses and then like raise money. So like you find a deal, you raise money, and then you put your skin in the game, which is 10K, but it's just a lot. That 10K can be gone in that one deal, and it takes a shitload of time to like build the team, find the deal, and then raise the money. So it's like 3 full-time jobs.
So you've worked with investors before on some of your multifamily deals, right?
Yeah.
What has that experience sort of been like?
For me managing the investors, or the deal?
Mostly for you managing the investors.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. So
as much as you're willing to say.
Yeah. So let's see what I want to say. So I mean, I bought 5 apartment buildings total. We had close to 100 units last year. Then this year we kind of woke up and we got like 2 offers on 2 of the buildings, like over what I thought we could refinance them for. So they were really good offers, strong offers, and from a guy that was like a really good guy too. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So we sold 2 of those buildings this year. So now we sold 2 of those buildings. We have 3 left. Those 2 buildings, we actually own them ourselves with our own money. So that was really easy to do and really easy to handle.
Yep.
The other deals, however, investor management and like investor updates and like stuff like that. I mean, we don't really have a very good system for it because it's not like our main bread and butter thing.
Right.
So it is just, I would say you've got to find the right investors to be investing in their deal, and like be very, very transparent if you want to go down that path. Like this deal is going to take a minimum of 3 years. And no matter how many times you say it, like people are still going to call you in month 8 and like, hey, where's my money? You know, like, dude, I told you this project's 3 years. Yeah, it's just people get antsy because they wire out money to you for $150,000 or $500,000, and then it's been like 12 months or 18 months, and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can show you. You want to get on a flight? Like, I can show you what's going on. So I don't know. It's just you've got to find the right investors and like try to limit the amount of investors you have, and then like build a good like system for like updates and shit like that. It's just it was so hard for some of our projects because there is no update. And again, it wasn't like our core business, so I was like doing all my work during the day from Martel Turnkey trying to scale it up, and then I would get emails like, hey, what's the P&L for this month for this property? And I'm like, I mean, probably the same as last month. Like nothing's changed. Like, what do you want me to do about it? So like our CPA or bookkeeper would just send them the P&L and like, here's the bank account, here's the P&L. Like, let me know if you want anything else. But the property's making the $2,000 a month, and like we're not going to do any disbursements until we have a significant amount of money because one HVAC blows out, there's 2 months of rent that's gone. So it's like I'm not going to give you a disbursement right now.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, it was something we had talked about when we were originally looking at getting into real estate because, well, we had no cash, and what better way to get cash than to get other people's cash? But we ended up backing away from that, just like managing other investors, especially not already knowing what we're doing in real estate, just seemed like a horrible idea.
Yeah, it's really, and there's a lot of people that are in those exact same shoes that like actually go down that path. And that's why like syndicators, I think, have a bad rep. Well, they have a bad rep in my mind because like every time I hear a syndicator, I'm always like, I wonder how many deals this person has done before they started syndicating, and like, I don't know. There's like, but pre-COVID, we used to go to these real estate meetups and networking events, and like the thing was, if somebody said they're a syndicator, it means they haven't invested in real estate before.
That would have been us until we wised up.
You see the same sort of stuff on the angel investing side. So, my background's in startups, so I do a little bit in angel investing, and like, there's a ton of syndicates out there, and like, it's not actually that hard to create a syndicate.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're just investing very little money, but also leveraging a lot of other people's money. And on the angel deals, you're making 20% carry on the thing. So it's like I don't know. I think a lot of people get into these and they look at these syndicates and they're like, oh, hey, this has got to be vetted already, so I'm going to put my money in. And like, you really got to do some due diligence there.
Yeah. We had, so we were pitched to invest in a pistachio farm, and we got really close to pulling the trigger, pistachio farm in California. And we got really close to pulling the trigger until we talked to our CPA and it wouldn't help us with taxes and stuff. But then because of that deal, we got pitched another deal, like very similar to what you're saying. And it was like a syndicate. They sent me the package to like review. I like put it up on my monitor and my family was over, and we were like, all right, are we going to do this as a family or whatever, with the family bank account kind of thing. And then we were looking through it, and there was like no financials, no asks, no, it was just like, this is who we are. This is the people on the team. And then this is what we do. And I'm like, okay, but like, why do you need my money? And then this syndicate was asking for money. And then I'm like, okay, but like what for? Like, give me the Shark Tank pitch. I want to be able to talk to these people and stuff. And he said, no, you just have to trust the syndicate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
No, that's even worse.
But I am super interested in diversifying. I mean, I'm like heavy real estate, right? Like 99%. So it's just like, how do you get in front of those other like companies, or even if they are in the real estate space but doing something else, like how do you get in front of those people that are like the startups and stuff like that are looking for cash? I posted on my Instagram a bunch like, hey, looking to diversify into other things, like, pitch me your business, let's talk. Like, I'm in, but it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've had pretty decent success. Or I mean, I don't know if I've had success actually, because the time horizon is just much longer. But I've had decent, what I feel like is going to be success with angel list syndicates so far. You're able to invest such a small amount of money. I have like 8,000 in across 8 companies now,
Got it.
So that's a good way to like sort of dip your toe into it, and then the rest is basically just networking for the most part.
Yeah.
Like the interesting thing about like early stage startup founders is if you have some sort of experience that could be potentially relevant to them, they're pretty much never going to turn you down to pick your brain.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times if I want to talk to another startup founder, I'm like, hey, I was the CTO and co-founder of Greenbits, and I'm also investing, and maybe you have 30 minutes for coffee. And that works, 5 times out of 10, maybe.
Yeah. And so do you find these companies on, what was the website called?
So AngelList is where I've been doing all my angel investing so far.
Got it.
You just have to be an accredited investor to do that there.
Got it.
Yeah, I haven't done anything outside of syndicates yet, but it's something I'm starting to look at.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if I told you about this, Justin, but one of the companies I invested in was a company called Vinovest. It's a wine investing platform.
Oh,
did I tell you about that, Justin?
No.
Well, I ended up investing money with them, like using their platform. So it's like sort of like an M1 Finance, like a robo investor for wine. It's fascinating. I put money in just to play around with it, but then I was watching this video that they were interviewing Kevin O'Leary the other day, and he's got a bunch of money in wineries, or vineyards, I should say. And he was just talking about how climate change has really been messing with his business. And I was like, I should invest more in wine. So anyways, it took like 3 weeks for the money to get in and actually buy something. But then they bought a case of wine for $1,000. So I bought 12 bottles of wine for $1,000. So still haven't told my wife that one.
But she's like, where is it?
The thing's up 3% in 3 days. I mean, it's only 3 days of information, but I don't know. We live in a time that I think is so fascinating. There's so many interesting alternative investments.
Yeah.
Private equity, I think, is going to grow a lot over the next few years. There's like the SEC is starting to loosen so many things. Like you can be an accredited investor now without having a lot of money, which is very powerful, I think, for a lot of people. Like you, Justin, have you taken that exam yet? You still working on that?
Still studying for it.
Yeah. So it's an interesting time. I don't know where I was going with the wine thing. I just think it's cool.
But no, about private equity, what was it? I've been learning more and more about the Yale Endowment Fund, and what's this dude's name? David F. Swenson, the dude who runs it.
Yeah.
And he said something similar. It's like more and more in private equity lately.
Well, and it's interesting too, if you look at some of the political landscape, right? They're trying to increase capital gains tax, increase corporate tax. Like, I think there's just going to be more and more money that stays in private equity. Like for a long time, it was you invest in private equity with the goal of going public and cashing out. But the higher those taxes get, the more incentive you have just to keep it in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like real estate.
True.
The 1031 exchange just like incentivizes you to keep it in that asset class.
Yeah. Why the hell would you sell it? Especially if you bought it 30 years ago. It's a lot of these guys. I mean, all the buildings that we bought in Memphis, all the apartment buildings was from an 80-year-old guy, 85-year-old guy that managed it by himself. And that was half of the portfolio we bought was from this guy and then we were like, what the hell are you going to do with it? He did 1031 exchanges to like triple net lease medical. And he was like, yeah, I'm done collecting rents and all this kind of stuff. I want to get out of here. And I want the triple net out of medical office space. And so he got it. He went and bought a couple buildings in Tennessee that were triple net offices. And I think he's been doing well. I think he's retired now.
Wow.
What is the triple net thing?
Okay, so triple net means, all right, let's say you own an office building, or you buy an office building, and then a dentist comes to you and wants to rent out the entire office space from you, and he's going to sign a lease, and that lease is going to be a triple net. So that means he's going to not only pay for the lease, but he's also going to pay for all the operating expenses, so taxes, insurance, utilities, everything. So literally he just gets his check for the lease amount, and he has like no expenses except for his mortgage payment or whatever. But the dentist office will cover all the repairs and all the stuff that you would have to take care of as an owner normally.
Oh wow! And I guess the benefit to the dentist it's still cheaper than essentially buying the building, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
Yeah, and it's kind of like they're paying for the lease, but yeah, they have to take care of and manage the entire space. You know.
Do you
And
see?
normally what they do for that is when you have like a shell of a building, normally the owner is supposed to like do the renovations to the space, like capital improvements to get it ready for the dentist office in some sort of fashion, not with all the equipment, but at least like, you know, if it's just down to the studs, hey, we need like a room like this and blah, blah, blah. And so the owner will pay for that, but then they'll take care of everything else later for the next 10 years kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. Do you see your business expanding much into commercial over the next few years, maybe?
Not right now. Commercial's getting really, really tight. It's like everybody and their brother wants to buy a multifamily apartment building, and the cap rates are super compressed. And we've had even more success renting single-family homes due to coronavirus and COVID. I think people just want to like maybe be apart from other people and don't want to be in an apartment building. That's what we've noticed personally, and I've talked to some other like big property managers with like 1,500 doors, and they've said the same thing. Like the single family homes are renting out like that. You can go make up a rent right now on your listing on single family homes, and people are taking it. Whereas the apartment buildings, it like takes a lot of showings. So yeah, it's a really weird. I don't know how long it's going to last, but that's what we're noticing too. So I see myself really just scaling the turnkey single family home business. And then, I mean, eventually at some point, we're going to have to get into like, yeah, I guess you're going to be at a pivot point where you either turn like hedge fund or you turn, you know, single family home hedge fund or like switch lanes to multifamily investing. So I guess there'll be a fork in the road at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, Justin, I thought you were going to talk. I mean, are there any questions that you have for us? I don't know.
Me? Not really.
Okay.
We're not as interesting. We're here to learn.
Yeah. What's the best place for people to like get in touch with you? Or follow?
Yeah, best place to reach out would be Instagram probably. So Instagram is at Martel Antoine. That's probably the best place.
Which I think I linked in the description on YouTube. So
okay, cool.
You should be able to find it there.
Yeah.
How did you get verified on Instagram?
Yeah, good question. Shit, I don't know how either, but it all happened kind of funnily. So I didn't even have this many followers. I think I had like 50, 60,000. And the only way that I've been growing my followers has been through like paid ads or like shout outs. And shout outs used to work really well. Now it's like getting worse and worse and worse as things get more inflated and with TikTok and all this kind of stuff. But so that's how I got from like 3,000 followers to 60,000 followers, just doing that and posting every single day. So then at 50,000 followers, I started doing more PR. So like I started reaching out and I got featured on Yahoo and Forbes and Entrepreneur and like all these kinds of things. And those are all paid things too. Like people think that people actually like are chosen.
I did some PR for the startup where Trey and I met, and I realized like when I would pitch articles, like I would write headlines and the article itself, and then that's essentially what would be published, like TechCrunch and Forbes and those. So to your point, it's like you kind of get a look behind the scenes on the PR aspect. But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. It's a pay to play program. Everybody thinks that whatever. And it's not that expensive either. It's actually pretty cheap for some of these things. I mean, if you get into Forbes and Entrepreneur, it could be a couple $1,000. But I mean, like Yahoo Finance, you know, top 10 real estate investors to watch for 2020 was very inexpensive. And so I started doing a lot of those PR things just to help with the business, the brand name, the backlinks for Martel Turnkey, because they would actually post the company name and stuff. And so that worked. I probably got like 10 to 20 articles through that using a couple different PR people. And then I probably had applied for the Instagram verification like 3 or 4 times. And then, I just did it one time at like 11 o'clock at night, because you can do it every couple months or something. So I would like I would check it every few months and be like, oh, can I apply again? Because I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I just had this thing.
Yeah.
And then I did it at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, just like took a photo of my ID, and then I went to sleep, and then something woke me up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I turned over my phone. I was like, what the hell? And then I turn it over, and then it's like, you have an Instagram notification. You've been verified or something like that. I was like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, really.
Eat it at life.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm done.
It's so funny because it's, you know, as you said, everything's kind of getting inflated, especially social media, like, and Instagram, and the attention that's there right now. It's hard to stand out. And that little check mark, like, it does make a big difference, especially when you're kind of promoting your services where it involves finances.
Yeah.
Like it gives it a lot of validation.
Yeah. And also like running ads. So like we're sold, like the company's completely sold out, but I used to run ads too for the business with my face. Like, hey, I'm Antoine. If you want to invest in real estate with 20 grand or more, swipe up and book a phone call with me. Like people would literally book a phone call with me for 15 minutes. Like, let me help you. And it was very similar to the first 15 minutes of this, you know, phone call. How can I get started? How did you get started? You know, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, through that story, they're like, holy shit, awesome. How, in the next question, which is, hey, what can I do with 10 grand or 20 grand? And then you know, give them that whole spiel. And so running ads too, like just the success rate with ads, when you do have that tiny little stupid check mark, it's just like the success rate goes up, because now it's like almost Instagram put its stamp of approval on you that you are legit and that kind of thing. So yeah. During that time, did you have like a dedicated marketing budget to try and grow the business, or were you kind of just spending as long as it made you money on the other side? Yeah, we were spending. So we had run some math and like looked at how much it was costing me to get a booked phone call, and then pretty much took all the leads in the CRM and said, out of these leads, how many of these leads have bought a property with us? That was like the best way that we can come up with the math, because it's all this Instagram ads shit is super hard in terms of math and like, am I spending the right amount of money? And
it's complicated.
So, yeah, it's really complicated. And then I tried doing it. I tried like bringing on some experts and like stuff like that, and they were just charging me like way too much. And I'm like, dude, I can do it myself and like fuck up horribly and still beat that.
Still be cheaper.
Price. Yep. So like, for example, here's a good example. So like they were saying, okay, we'll run ads. It'll cost us like $25 to get like a booked phone call, like a cold person to turn into a booked phone call. And I was like, okay, great. Like as long as the numbers make sense on the other end, I don't care what it costs. And then he was like, so it'll cost you $25. That's the marketing cost. And then we'll take like a $50 fee on top of that. And I was like, okay, so then my cost for the phone call is not $25, it's now $75. Yes, $75.
Jeez.
Okay, so then show me how that makes sense down the line and whatever. Oh, you're still going to make 100% return on your money. And so I was like, okay, cool. Let me get back to you. I go to my garage, like outside of my house. I film like a Ty Lopez. I felt like Ty Lopez. I filmed a little video in front of my car, and I was like, hey, I'm in my garage. I thought it was Ty Lopez at that point, but I filmed this stupid little video. Hey, I'm in my garage. I live in California. I invest all across the country. Swipe up to invest in real estate with 20 grand or more. Boom. And I can help you invest across the country or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I run the ad, and I was getting booked calls for like $10, $15. And then I was like, dude, this is like, I was going to pay $75. Me just like literally just posting it on my story and then clicking promote. I got book calls for like $10, $15. And I'm like, okay, I'm never using like one of these. And this was like me trying really hard to find somebody really good to help me. And I was like, dude, the numbers are just, unless I hire them full time or some shit, it's just the numbers and math is never going to make sense because they just like charge way too much money. So I was like, man, I could just keep running this ad. I have a long way to go before I get to his $75, a market number. And so
I'm very familiar with that because I work in marketing and I kind of know at least the agency game there, where they're just like while the Instagram ads and Facebook ads are somewhat complicated, they do make it, to your point, like to where you can do it yourself. And like for much more cost effective. And I'm pretty sure that probably felt more genuine to people that you just picked up the phone, and even though you were Tai Lopez for a minute, like it felt a little more genuine than just like a stock photo.
Yeah. That was my most sleazy video, but I thought it was copy the pros at that point. But yeah, man, it's crazy. So that's what I did, and I'm not spending like $1 million a month on these things, right? Like I would spend like $100 a day, and then I would wait until like I had like 2 or 3 weeks of booked phone calls, and then I would kind of shut it off. And then because like people would then start clicking the ad and like, fuck, this guy's booked like for 2 months. Right. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm gonna forget this. Because I started calling people and they're like, hi, who's this? Antoine, we had a book call on Instagram. Who? And I'm like, oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah. It's a cold lead at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was just running $100 until I got $100 a day until I kind of got booked up, and then I would shut it off, and then I would wait until my schedule cleared up, and then I would book it again. And so I just kept doing that. And it was like super easy for me to manage and super cheap.
Through doing all of that, did that help you kind of identify like the ideal profile for investors, so you can kind of go back and kind of know who to immediately, like who would be the right investor, so to speak?
Yeah, so the right investor is normally like a 30 to 60-year-old, male or female, $20,000 in the bank, lives in an expensive market. So you got pretty much the two coasts, let's say. And then has some interest in real estate. They don't even need to be super interested. Like, we make it, super simple. Just we're like as easy as buying a stock on Robinhood. I mean, you can sign a contract for one of our houses. So that's kind of the demographic that we've been hitting. And I even started running the ads, because in the ad I said I lived in LA and stuff. So I even just started in doing LA, and so that helped a ton too. Because I think probably like I maybe had mutual connections with like certain people that were following me and stuff. So like that even gave it more like rapport, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of the target demographic for what we're selling.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in LA too, actually. Just moved down here last year. Yeah.
Nice. You like it?
Yeah. I do, actually. We're more inland, like Inland Empire, San Bernardino area, I guess I should say. I broadly say LA, but
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, we're in Hermosa Beach. My parents just moved down here last year as well, middle of COVID, but hopefully we're almost there to where almost open up fully.
Yeah. Then Trey's on the East Coast, so it's so dark there already.
Yeah, up here in Connecticut.
Jeez. Connecticut.
Yeah, I just moved out here. What was it, like 2 years ago now, Justin?
Something like that? Trey, while we're working at the cannabis startup that Trey founded, it happened so quickly. It was just like, so I'm moving to Connecticut. He's like, all right, man, I guess we'll see you later then.
I went to a conference in LA, Vid Summit. Yeah, Vid Summit. So like a YouTuber conference. On the bus home, I'm like, man, I really want to change. So I text my wife and I'm like, hey, what do you think about moving? She's like, yeah, sure, where? And literally 1 week later, we were packed up and moving.
What the fuck?
And we got here and we actually didn't have a place to live. And we had thought, so the Connecticut market was super weird when we moved here. We had thought it was going to be fairly easy to like find a place to rent. Well, it turns out it wasn't easy to find a place to rent with 2 kids and a dog. That was also like within our price range and not too super run down. So like we found this Airbnb we stayed at for like a week, and then they basically kicked us out because they had other people staying there. We're like, well, shit, we don't have anywhere else to go. My wife started work like literally the minute we got here. So I don't know if that was the best idea. So she's like busy working most of the time, but she's a synchronized swimming coach. God. So one of her swimmers' families offered to let us stay in their basement, which sounds super dingy, but these houses are massive. Like this is our basement here. So it's actually like pretty nice. And then we eventually stumbled across the place, but that was my story that I say when I was homeless. So it was an exciting time, but don't regret it.
Do you still have the cannabis company?
It actually just sold.
Oh wow!
So,
nice.
Yeah, so I left the day-to-day there actually like right after I moved out here. So just a year and a half ago, something like that.
Got it.
And then it just sold like literally a month ago, Justin.
Yeah.
To another company in the space, Dutchy. So it sold to Dutchy, and then Dutchy went and raised at a $1.7 billion valuation. So it's part of probably one of the biggest companies in the cannabis space, at least on the software side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. What's next?
Everyone keeps asking me that, and I don't know yet. So I was working a full-time job at GoDaddy until 4 weeks ago, and then I got tired of it and I quit. So right now I don't really have a job. I'm trying to figure out what that next thing is. So I'm managing our couple of real estate investments and trying to figure out what the next thing is. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. I'm really interested in the NFT space though. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being something there.
Yeah, that is a crazy space to be in. Shit. Yeah, I work with I'm an advisor on like a real estate tech company. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to be buying one of our turnkey houses and selling it, divvying it up and selling NFTs for the house. So
interesting.
Let you know how that goes.
It's very interesting. I think real estate's a very interesting space for NFTs. Less the splitting up of it, but just like the title and the closing process and the escrow and all of that could be made much smoother.
Oh yeah. Well, I think with the blockchain too. I mean, once they have the smart contracts, is what I was reading about. I'm not very good at this stuff, but once they have the smart contracts, I mean, I'll be the fucking first in line. Trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, all this bullshit we have to deal with, and
exactly.
People asking all these stupid questions about numbers and the closing docs and notaries. Jesus Christ.
It's fascinating. These smart contracts are so powerful. Like on some of these art platforms, like when you place a bid, if you dig into how it works, it actually transfers your crypto into the smart contract, which doesn't mean that the person that owns the artwork got it. It just lives in the smart contract. And then if someone outbids you, it releases your funds back to you. If the seller accepts the bid, then it transfers the funds to him and the thing to you. Like the way you just described that, that's just an escrow company.
Yeah.
It's just all entirely programmed now. So if we can get the government on board, which is the hard part with title ownership and car titles and home titles and those sorts of things, if the government can get on board with that, then it's an easily solved problem. But
and I think it's going to be because right now a lot of title companies don't even allow virtual notaries.
Yeah.
So I stand in front of the notary and I say here's my ID and let me sign in front of you. Half the notary companies don't even let me do that. I have to fucking drive to UPS.
Yeah.
So
I literally have that on my to-do list.
Yeah. See, it's a pain in the ass. And I was doing it, dude. I was doing it 20 times a month. Yeah. Every time I bought a house and every time I sold.
Jesus.
I mean, I was living at
opening a UPS store at that point.
Yeah, honestly. So finally, I talked to one of the title companies. I'm like, can I please use the virtual notary? Because it was getting ridiculous. I mean, every day I would be there and I would have, 12, 15 notaries I'd have to do. And then she was like, oh yeah, we just approved this company. And I'm like, sign me up, please. Here's my Calendly. Just book the damn call. And I'm like, I'd rather be sitting here for an hour, an hour and a half doing the notary. And it's also the same chick that always gets my online notaries now. So she knows the process. She sets up all the paperwork before, and then she just, hey, ID, boom. All right, click the button. And I just click.
Yeah.
So they just accepted that. Them going from that to accepting the smart contract. We got a long way to go, but I can't wait.
That's where I think the optimism in the crypto space is a little naive at times. People are oh man, these currencies are going to replace the dollar, this and that, or it's going to be home ownership and it's, in theory, but the government doesn't like change.
Yeah,
they especially don't like change that takes them out of control.
Yeah, have you been to the DMV?
Yeah, it's I don't know. Who knows? But
I still got to get my smart ID or what's that thing called?
Oh, the California one.
The real ID.
Oh, it's only California.
The real ID. I think so. Unless it's
I don't think so. No, I think
the
real ID is a federal thing.
Yeah, it's a federal thing because they were going to require it for
Yeah.
getting on an airplane.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
still have to do
god!
that,
too.
And I'm like, can't I just upload the damn documents to your portal or something? Like, why do I have to go in and make an appointment?
It's the worst.
So yeah.
Cool, Justin. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, thank you, Antoine. This was a
really
fantastic conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Let me know if you want me to come on again. I'd love to come on again.
Yeah, anytime. We do this almost every week. So, except for when
Nice.
Justin's like out of town and stuff.
Just, I work at another startup now too, so I'm just in startup land.
Yeah. And if you ever want to get together and talk startups, we're around.
Yeah. If you guys ever need an investor in something exciting, especially in the real estate space, I'm open to anything, but I just know the space really well. So
for sure.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there are links for people to find you down in the description, and I guess that's it.
That's
Bye. We
Awesome.
don't have like an outro, so I'm just gonna click end broadcast.